month's tutorial. Today I will be showing you how to make this gorgeous little bloom in winter garland or bunting. It consists of 3 pieces, a snowflake, a little triangle and a little darling flower. So we will be making different parts of this one. We will need 5 snowflakes, 2 flowers and 4 little triangles to make this into the exact same bunting as you see here. You can either do it as a bunting as it's intended, like this one, or you can do just single snowflakes and hang up in the tree or in your window. You can use a chunkier yarn and actually use them as coasters, or you can simply just add it to your Christmas wrapping like this. It's just so adorable, isn't it? I mean, the possibilities are endless for using snowflakes and small motifs. So I hope you will have lots of fun and yeah, happy making. Let's begin. So all you really need for this bunting is 1 skein of yarn, whatever color and thickness you like, a hook that goes with it. This is Charming by Yarn and Colors in a brown shade. I don't remember the name of it, but I'm using a 3.5mm hook, a scissor to cut off the ends and a needle to weave them in. That's it. And I was actually going to show you because the final bunting was originally made in this color, this yarn, which is absolutely amazing. However, it was really bad at filming in because it was a little bit too dark and speckled, so you couldn't really see the stitches. So for the tutorial, the 3 pieces that it needs, the flower, the triangles and the snowflakes will be shown in this color, and then I'll show you how to make it in this brown. Okay, so grab your tools, grab your yarns and meet me up to begin. To make the snowflake, we start off with a magic circle. And into that, we are placing 6 single crochets, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we have it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then just put the tail back down the center and close. Okay? And now we are slip stitching into the first stitch to close, like that. Okay, so now we will start with our 3 double crochets work together into the same stitch. So the way I do it is that I'm doing a standing stitch. You can of course chain 1 or 2 or 3 to the height of your double crochet, probably a 2 or 3. But I'm just raising the loop, going around the body, grabbing the yarn and pulling it to the front, and that's my half finished first double crochet. And then into the same stitch we are doing 2 more. So just do 1 half finished, more, and 2 half finished. So now we have 1, 2, 3. And then grab the yarn and pull it through all the 4 loops and chaining 2. And that's our first one. And this is what we will repeat for the remaining 5 stitches. So just go in and make 3 double crochets work together. Into the next one, it's a cluster of stitches. And just, ooh, what's happening? There we go. And chain 2. And then work into the next. Like that. I do love the fact that, and chain 2, that the snowflake has a floral center, because my birthday is actually on the Swedish Christmas Eve, so I always get lots of flowers around Christmas, and so yeah, it really has that little extra thing to me, and they are not allowed to give me Christmas flowers. I'm really particular on that. On my birthday I want normal flowers, I don't know what to say, but not so typically Christmassy ones. This is a reminiscence from my parents that were really clear on separating the Christmas part of the day from my birthday part of the day. So until lunch, it was my day. And then it was Christmas. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the last one. So 3 double crochets work together. Now you get a little backstory here too while working. And then we are simply chaining 2. And to close, we are now slip stitching into the cluster and not into the first 2 chains, okay? So just do a little slip stitch there, like that. And what you can do, you can of course fasten off after each round, but I don't think you have to, and it makes it so much quicker not to. So what I'll do is I simply slip stitch into the next chain space and chain 1 just to get the working height of our next round, okay? So that is not part of the pattern, it's just transitional stitches, okay? So we are working 3 single crochets around this chain space, like that, chaining 3, skipping the cluster. We are not touching any clusters. Let me just grab some yarn. And into the next one, we do 3 single crochets. So the repeat is 3 single crochets around the chain 2 space, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and skip the cluster. And that's all that we are going to do all the way around. Just framing this flower a little bit and creating spaces for us to work our snowflake corners in. So just go around stitch by stitch, chain 3, skip cluster, and then repeat. This is so quick, I mean, it's a really simple make. And I'm already at the first chain, the last, sorry. There will be some Swinglish here today, I hear that. Eller means or in Swedish, so you'll have to excuse me, I mix it up today. And yeah, after doing your last chain 3 space, you simply do as we did last time. We slip stitch into the first stitch of the round, which is not the slip stitch or the chain 1, but the first single crochet. Okay? And that is our first stitch as well, because we are slip stitching into the first of the single crochets. Then we're doing a little picot combination in the next. So slip stitch into the next stitch, which is the center, chain 2, and slip stitch through the first. Like that, and tighten a little bit. And then slip stitch back into the same stitch that you're working in, creating a little bit of a bubble there. And then we slip stitch into the next one, which is the last of the 3 single crochets. Okay, so I thought I'd just show you what I'm talking about. So what we have done now is this little part, this little middle section, and we are now about to do these little tips of the snowflakes. And as you can tell, we are creating this little arch here. So we need to build some height. So the first thing we will do is making a single crochet around the chain 3 space, followed by a half double crochet around the same space. And now we are doing those little 3 sets that you saw. So we are chaining 3, 1, 2, and 3, like that. Slip stitching back into the first one of them that we made, and tighten. And then we chain 4 more, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we slip stitch back into the first of them. So like that, we are getting the little bigger part of the trio. And now we are doing the same as with the first. So we are chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch back into the first. And it should look something like this. So this is in fact a 3 chain picot, 4 chain picot, 3 chain picot. Okay, so the only thing you do now is you do exactly what we did before. So a half double crochet, climbing down with a little single crochet into that space too. So it will look something like this. You have a single crochet around the chain 3 space, a half double crochet, chain 3 picot, chain 4 picot, chain 3 picot, half double crochet, single crochet. Okay? You'll get the hang of it, I promise. It's really simple once you get it. So into the first single crochet of the 3 there, slip stitch into the next one, chain 2. So this is in fact a chain 2 picot, because we're slip stitching back into that first and just creating that little bobble thing head, and slip stitch back into the same stitch, slip stitch into the next stitch, and now we repeat the little star petal. So single crochet around the chain 3 space, half double crochet around the same, a chain 3 picot, so chain 3, slip stitch through the first chain, tighten, chain 4, slip stitch through the first, tighten, chain 3, slip stitch through the first, and tighten. And then around the same chain 3 space that we're already working in, half double crochet followed by a single crochet. And this we just simply repeat all the way around, and meet me up here so I'll show you how to close it, okay? Happy crocheting! Okay, so I have almost finished. I have one more single crochet to make, like that, and then I'm all the way around. So we should have 6 of these little peaks and 6 of these small little middle sections, and then we're done. So just cut off the yarn and close with an invisible join to the second stitch, which would be the slip stitch that holds the picot, and then just weave in your ends here on the back, and begin with this one as always to get a tight start. Okay, so after that you need to do 4 more of these, so you have 5 in total, and then keep on and making the little flowers and triangles. Okay, good luck! So to begin your flower, you simply do a magic circle or a chain start. You'll have to figure out how many chains you want that circle to be, but we are placing 6 single crochets in it, just as before. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we pull our tail out like that and back down into the center and tighten. And then we're slip stitching into the first single crochet that we made to close this round, like that. So the next step is now to make the little petals. Now chain 1 to get the height, and then immediately work 2 double crochets together into the same stitch. So just do 2 half finished double crochets like this. There we go. 3 loops on the hook, and then yarn over and pull through all. And then we're chaining 1 again and slip stitching back into that same stitch, like that. So what we will have is a slip stitch, chain 1, 2 double crochets together, chain 1 and slip stitch into each stitch to make this little flower head. So slip stitch into the next, chain 1, work 2 double crochets together into the same stitch, pull through all 3 loops, chain 1 and slip stitch back down into the same stitch. And repeat all the way around. So in total you should have 6 little petals, okay? So just keep on doing this and meet me up to close, okay? You got this. Okay, so we have done the last 2 double crochets together. I still need to chain 1 and slip stitch, but I'll just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, it's good to go. So what I'll do, I'll actually do the slip stitch and then just cut off the yarn and weave in the ends on the back. I don't know if you can hear it, but we have a little fly in here. So maybe they heard that the or a little bee that the flowers are blooming in here. So yeah, just do that, just cut it off and thread it to the back and work your way back and forth here a few times. And then you're done with that. So you will have to do 2 flowers in total, don't forget that. So when you have finished this one, hook up another one and meet me up to do the little triangles, okay? Happy hooking! So to make the little triangle, we start again with the magic circle, as the other ones, and also, oops, there we go, 6 single crochets back down into the center. Keeping it simple here so we can easily remember the pattern. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we go, 6 single crochets. Pull the tail out and back down. Tighten. And now we are slip stitching into the first single crochet of the round to close, which will also be our first stitch of the next round. So we are now creating those little snowflake details on the sides. So what you will do is immediately after doing the slip stitch, chain 3. You will remember this from the snowflake. Slip stitch into the first chain that you made to make the first little bump, and then you chain 4 more and slip stitch into the first one of them to make a bigger bump, and tighten after the slip stitch, okay, so it really pulls it together. And then chain 3 again, slip stitch into the first to create that third one, okay, and tighten. And then you simply slip stitch back into the same stitch again. Working with this kind of thinner yarn is a little bit tricky, but just take it nice and slow and you'll get the hang of it, okay? So it should look like this once you have done the first repetition of the section. So cute! And then you are slip stitching into the next stitch and repeating the leaf in the next. So slip stitch into that one, chaining 3, 1, 2, and 3, slip stitch back into the first one, chaining 4, slip stitch back into the first one, chaining 3, slip stitching back into the first one, like that. And then we are slip stitching back into the same stitch that we already have our slip stitch to begin with, and repeat. So slip stitch into the next stitch and into the next stitch after that. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch into the first, chain 4, slip stitch into the first, chain 3, and slip stitch into the first. Well done! Now we are only going to slip stitch back in here, and then we are slip stitching into the next stitch, and now we are creating a little, we have the shape done, this is how it will look, but to make it into a bunting where it's easy to attach, we are chaining 2 and slip stitching back into the same space. So now we have like a little center here, if you can tell. Let's see, where did I put my needle? There we go. So in here, let's see, in here, into the little chain 2 space is where we will place our slip stitches later on. So just cut off the yarn and hide them on the sides, beginning with the center one as always, and then the working thread, okay? So just do that and make 3 more of these, and then we're ready to start assembling, okay? Good luck! So I have prepped these lovely brown ish kind of speckled yarn, vintage looking pieces. So I have all that I need to start making my bunting. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the snowflakes, 2 of the flowers, and 4 of these little triangle kind of snowflakey things. I have no name for them yet. If you have any good ones, please write them down in the comments below. I call them triangles for now, but they are so cute. Okay, so the set will be as following. So as you can't see exactly what I'm trying to show you here, is that here is one end of the bunting, here is the other end of the bunting, and you will have every other snowflake and every other this middle piece, and around the center little snowflake you'll have the 2 flowers, and for the other 2 you have these little triangles. Okay, so just follow along and it will all make sense, I promise. So grab your yarn and we are about to start chaining. Okay, you can leave a little longer tail than I have done if you want to use it to tie it up later, but this is good for me. It's a little bit more than 10 centimeters. So we are beginning by chaining 30. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 29 and 30. You don't have to make exactly 30. I have done 30 in the beginning and in the end of the bunting, and then 20 in between every piece. You can experiment and see how far you want them to sit between each other and such. So this is just recommendations, okay? So when you have done your starting chain section, we are grabbing our first piece, that is the little triangle, and we're now holding our piece to the right, finding that little chain 2 space that we made at the very end, and just place your hook in there and make a slip stitch. Easy peasy. There we go. This yarn is a little bit on the splitted side, but I think you get the hang of it. And now we are chaining again, and now we're chaining 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you have done 20, you grab your snowflake and finding a picot 2 here, going into the center of it. I'm just checking so that I go like that. It doesn't matter exactly where you place it, but please place it in one of the lower points rather than the high points, because otherwise I think it will stretch a little bit. But that is, you can try. So just do a slip stitch here and then chain 20 again. So after the snowflake, we are grabbing our second little triangle, slip stitching through the center of the chain 2 space, like that, and then chaining 20. And then we grab our next snowflake, every other snowflake, and finding a chain 2 space again, just making sure that you're going into the center of it and making a slip stitch. And again, chaining 20. And when you have done 20, you grab your little flower, the first flower, because now we have 2 snowflakes and 2 triangles attached. And now it's time for the little flower. So just turn it to the back and see if you can find a spot where you can put your hook. So find 2 bars to go through. I'm going through one at the corner here, just somewhere on the back, and maybe there. Just make sure that it doesn't show on the front. And 2 holds better than 1, so that's why I chose to go through those. And then just chain 20 again. And it doesn't matter if you want to put it higher up so it hangs more drop-like, do that. It's just attaching, okay? So 1, 2. So after the flower comes snowflake, exactly as we did before. Finding the center of the chain 2 space, the chain 2 picot, and slip stitch. Chaining 20. Moving the pieces to the side. And now we have our second flower. So we're doing exactly the same, just finding some spaces here on the back. I think I go a little bit closer to the center this time. Just going through some bars, not showing on the front, great. Slip stitch and keep on chaining. 20. 1, 2. And after that little flower, we have a snowflake. We're just zooming out a little bit. There we go. And just find your way through the picot and slip stitch. And chaining 20. There we go. Grabbing our third little triangle and going through that chain 2 space. Slip stitch. Like that. And then chain 20 again. And now we should have our final snowflake. We have 1 snowflake and 1 triangle more to attach to our little bunting. So do as you did before and then chain 20. And now my arm is aching, but we are at our final little attachment point. So just go through that last little triangle and chaining the last 30 this time. So 1, 2. And there we go. So just cut off the yarn. And what I do is simply pull the yarn through and then tighten. You can do a little knot here or so if you want to, and also at the beginning's end. But that's it. So there we have it. We have finished our bunting. You have finished your little snowflake decorations if you wish to just use them as that. So if you like this tutorial, please give us a thumbs up, leave a little comment below, turn on the notifications, and yeah, I hope you've had lots and lots of fun, and then I'll meet you soon in another video shortly. Okay? Have a lovely, lovely day and happy making and Merry Christmas in advance. See you soon. Bye!